Soul purpose, soul purpose, soul purpose, soul purpose. What is your soul purpose? Oh, such a loaded question, and probably one of the number one questions I get asked, which is why I invite you to schedule your one-on-one meeting with me where we dive into your actual light factor chart based on your natal chart and everything else, so we can peel back the layers with this. However, that being said, it's important to understand and to distinguish what soul purpose is, so that as you progress through this program, you understand really what's guiding us, because this is a soul evolution program, right? We engage in living beyond the veil to understand how to work a field of energy, how to slip into our quantum. Because to actually work in this field, to actually be fully expressed in perfection energetically, we can't do it from an isolated space, right? It has to be connected to the field of one, it has to be connected to our divine nature, and we have to be connected to understanding that we are part of a bigger picture. And essentially that bigger picture is coming back to understanding love. So why is it like that? Well, it's like that because the entire experience, in order to understand your soul purpose, you have to understand, we get to look at and understand the purpose of Earth dimension, third planet from the sun dimension consciousness. And that is the experience of self-will and self-choice, autonomy from spirit, autonomy from the collective consciousness. Why is that so important? It's really important because the reality is, in order to manifest and in order to create, in order to have the experience of love begetting itself upon itself, upon itself, and upon itself, right? To evolve and continue to evolve, there has to be somewhere along the way a propelling force. And so in the conception of spiritual order, this concept was created to essentially create the disconnection. And within this disconnection then becomes the concept of self-will, where each of us is given the opportunity to choose to be better, to choose to improve, to choose to fulfill our greatest desires, to experience our greatest desires. But if we came in already understanding that, we would be essentially like all of the animals that understand the patterns and are already connected. And there would exist nothing other than life or birth, life, and death. And it'd be a constant stream, right, of birth, life, and death over and over and over and over again. And if you've chosen to come here and be here at this time, you were looking to dig in, to get the depth and the gravity of what it really means to understand the fullness of connection, the fullness of love, so that you could learn the lessons of it and go on to teach it in your ways. And so when I'm asked the question, what is my soul purpose? It always comes back to, in what ways are you learning to understand love? And we look at the natal chart in your reading for that, to identify what that is. The ways in which we're learning all relate to our ascending sign in the natal chart. And the ascending sign is essentially the position of the eastern horizon at the exact moment of our birth, based on our location. And where that eastern horizon will then place us in one of the fields of the zodiac, one of the 12 fields, which we all relate to those through our sun signs. For example, I'm a Libra in my sun sign. So I express myself through partnership, through understanding partnership. However, my ascending sign is Sagittarius, which means I'm here to learn the purpose of life. Go figure, right? And quite honestly, I didn't know that at the beginning. I only found that out recently, that was how it all fit together. And yet here I had been on this incredible spiritual journey, trying to understand the purpose of life. And so oftentimes, depending on our sign, we've already been living out a lot of these things. And what's most brilliant about our soul purpose and understanding what the types of lessons are that we're here to learn is that it's where the magic is for us. It's where the most juice is. It's where we get lit up and feel alive, right? It's where those desires are just like going off and exploding, like orgasmically exploding, right? Because we feel connected, we feel in unity, we feel the joy, we feel the bliss, right? We feel ourselves. For me, being a Sagittarius, it's out on that outer edge of consciousness, that thrill and adventure. I know for other people, they could care less about adventure, right? Clearly not an ascending Sagittarius. So your soul purpose, again, we look at the natal chart, but there's more to it. Our desires lead us into our soul purpose, and our heart leads us into our soul purpose. And it's different than what our life purpose is all about. Our life purpose, we essentially have two junctures that we're stepping through when we are doing life. And when you learn your life purpose, it's essentially life purpose is, you've probably already come through that. I like to say life purpose is what we did in Earth School. It's figuring out not only, it's figuring out all of the lessons. It's figuring out all of the bullshit. And usually by the time you arrive at a program like Living Beyond the Veil, you're like, okay, I'm over that. None of those pieces, it doesn't work anymore. I'm sick of getting burned. I'm sick of, each of these things showing up. And that's ultimately what our life purpose is. You've figured out how to connect with people. You've figured out how to be the introvert or the extrovert or whatever those things are. That's the life purpose. That's, those core things that it means that we have to figure out when we come here to be human. Our soul purpose is what we're here to figure out when it comes down to being a soul. And so if we were to wrap this all up into a nutshell of ultimately what your soul purpose is, it is to figure out how to be a soul with a human body and experience this life as most brilliantly as you possibly can from an energetic perspective, while still navigating the human 3D reality and all of the emotions and everything else like that that come along with it. It's about taking that and taking those experiences, up leveling them, and starting to work in the underlayers, the undercurrents, and really coming to know yourself, not as some being that is going to start, live, and die, but as an energetic being that is on a continual cycle of life, that has already journeyed through many of the other aspects of the spiral of the astrological cycle, and just happens to be here with one aspect to figure out this lifetime. It's a journey that is building upon itself over and over and over and over again. And the beauty in that is that it's no longer, as we're living as souls, it's no longer about things being caught in the, if this happens, then this must happen. It becomes about slipping into that field of potentiality, right? Where, well, if I do this, I'm going to get access to so much more energy. And this energy could act like rocket fuel that could take me to an entirely different field of energy, right? And as we explode into that entirely different field of energy, I'm going to come to know myself in a way that I never even conceived possible, and be capable of doing things and meeting people that I never even conceived possible. That's the beauty of being a soul, because there is no if-then conception. It is, how do we make it happen? How do we link ourselves in this field of potentiality and open ourselves up enough to the universal field of love, so that whatever chaos needs to ensue can happen in ease and grace, and simply allow for all the dots to be connected, and we can call in exactly what it is we're looking to call in. In my mind, that's what souls are up to, not just in my mind, but in my lessons and my teachings and everything that I've come to understand. That's what it's about, being a soul, is that we're able to learn the cycles and the rhythms and the patterns, not just of this lifetime, but of all of the lifetimes, so that those rememberings can be carried with us and help us accelerate to new dimensions of excitement, of love, of existence, and of our soul's evolution. So happy pursuing your soul's purpose. If you have not scheduled your one-on-one with me yet to read your natal chart, then please, please, please go ahead and do that. And namaste, so much love. I will catch you in the next video.